2, 1.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Roland Grimes Sports and Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Roland Bubba Grimes. We're shooting live here from the Zone Restaurant under the watchful eye of our producer, Mr. Finesse Dips and LFP Media. I'd like to reintroduce my co-host, as always, Mr. Self-Empowerment, Wilbert Skipper. We have, as always, we have a jam-packed show for you today, and we have an esteemed guest who has a storied career in basketball, and he's a teacher, educator, outstanding citizen who has returned to the Washington, D.C. area to coach at the University of District of Columbia. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Coach Jeff Ruland. Now, since I have my basketball experts here, I'm going to point guard a little bit, and I'm going to keep dishing this thing over to Skip.
Thank you very much.
So that he can pick that up. But I'm going to just start out by saying a couple things and ask a couple of questions of Coach Ruland very quickly. Coach Ruland, I first had a chance to observe you as a member of the formerly known Washington Bullets. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, if I recall, you were a high.
Am I under oath?
You're not on if I recall, you were a high draft pick. You and a gentleman by the name, I want to say Wes Matthews. Was that the same class?
Wes got picked before me. I still don't understand that. I was the 25th pick at the time. I left school a year early. And,
You left school a year
I
early?
left school a year early. I actually played overseas. I played for Football Club Barcelona, Ricky Rubio. In a way, I'm kind of a pioneer.
You were the first to do that.
Oh, I did that way before it was in vogue. It was
You were a little bit before your
It
time.
was a life-changing experience. I do remember when the jet touched down in JFK in New York, and I got off the plane and I walked out onto the runway and kissed the concrete. It was good to be home.
So it was a great experience away.
Good at home.
Great experience
Maybe
home.
grow up. I still go back to Spain, south of Spain these days. My fiance has a nice apartment over there right near the water, and go back periodically. But being 21, 22 years old, being away from home, mom's home cooking, doing the laundry and stuff like that, I did go with my college sweetheart, who became my wife, and unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, giving 3 beautiful daughters.
Great.
So it was a good experience.
Great. Now, real quickly, in terms of part of that experience when you first came to the Washington, D.C. area and you were playing with the Bullets, tell me 1 or 2 things, and I know he's going to go back a little bit, we're going to go forward, but when you came to this area and you were
Well, the
playing
good
for
stuff I can't tell you.
and you were playing for the franchise.
Hopefully we have some children watching. But
some of the young men and women who are watching now with those aspirations, the 1 or 2 tips that you can give them going into that kind of arena right out of college, or in some cases now right out of high school, what are some of those 1 or 2 things that every one of them can take with them as they move into that arena to help
Right.
them to navigate a little more successful?
I'm pretty sure they're not going to want to hear it. Number 1, you've got to get your education. I left school a year early, but I didn't do my best when I was there the first time. Now, I woke up in a hospital room at the age of 28, a 2-time NBA All-Star, and the doctor told me I would not be playing ever again. Fortunately, I had enough wherewithal where I went back to school. I got my degree. Other than my 3 daughters, I graduated 10 years after the fact, and that's something that I'm very, very proud of.
Good.
Absolutely.
The other thing is
Institution or
obviously,
different school?
what's that? I went to my alma mater. I
You
own
did what?
a college where I later coached. But the other thing is obviously hard work, and this country has flaws. There's no question about it. I've experienced them. I'm not going to go into detail about them, but if you want something bad enough and you want to be something, if you're willing to work hard enough, you can attain that.
Absolutely.
But in the same instance, everybody wants to be in the NBA, everybody wants to be in the NFL. Let's take the NBA. There might be a little bit over 400 jobs every year, and those are cut dramatically by guaranteed contracts. So you go 400, and then you go, oh, how many millions of people are there in the USA now taking the rest of the world, because it's a global game, and realistically, you got a better chance of going to the 7-Eleven and hitting that Mega Millions.
Absolutely.
So
Well, that's what I've been doing. Man. You go to 7-Eleven.
I've been playing with myself, but that kind of puts it in perspective. Not to say that you can't do it, but I think a lot of young men growing up with the sports centers and the 24/7 get a little delusional. not to dissuade
And
you
so do
from,
the
not to
parents.
dissuade you for your dreams, because you, like I said, if you want to work hard enough, you can do that, but the odds, just look at the odds are staggering. Odds are staggering. So, you know, get your education, and then as a basketball player, you want to have options. You want to be versatile. Well, get your education, and then from there, you can be versatile. And if you're good enough, they'll find you.
Well, now, Coach, I have to say to the viewing audience, I am thrilled to have you on the show. And there's a reason behind that. The main reason why I am thrilled is because oftentimes I don't see a basketball player on the show. And we've had a couple. The monopoly
We need to
has,
adjust
they
that.
have created
My
a
fault.
monopoly on this show with football players.
My fault.
So being a former basketball player, I didn't reach the NBA level, but I had high aspirations. I was a pretty good basketball player, finishing up at George Washington University. So I know what it's like to be in that mindset.
Sure.
I followed your career when you were at Iona University. I also followed your career when you were head basketball coach at Iona University. I followed your career with the Washington Bullets and also with the Philadelphia 76ers. I did extensive background homework on you. Now, the one question that I had, and I didn't share this with Roland, but the one question that I had for you, and I hope everybody here is listening to this question, take me back to how the concept came about, or the name, the Beef Brothers, with you and Rick Mahorn. How did that come about, and how did you guys embrace that?
Well, it was my first year, and I had known Ricky prior to that. We had both try out for the World University Games. He got cut. But he got cut. But then I went overseas and I came back, and Wes had retired and they had traded Elvin and Kupchak had left, so we were going to play together. And let's be honest, we were physical players. And I think we were playing the Celtics my rookie year in a playoff. There was a guy behind the bench and he had a cut out like a USDA ribbon and it said Beef Brothers, which, you know, I still wish I had some of the t-shirts. I don't. It's an all right nickname.
Right.
But further down the road, Johnny Most nicknamed me and Rick McFilthy and McNasty. So I'd rather go with that than
So that was a
than
spin-off.
Beef Brothers. Yeah, it's a little bit more apropos.
intimidating.
Yeah. So that's how that came about.
Okay, now I know, Roland, now we're going to talk about UDC basketball, which is on the rise again. My fond memories of UDC takes me back to 1982, I believe, with Michael Britt and Earl Jones.
Sure.
They had a
Just
great
saw Michael
year.
Britt last week.
Yeah, they won a championship
Yep.
there. When you look back at your career as a collegiate player, as a college coach, and also as a professional basketball player in the NBA,
Sure.
what do you find in terms of all those things that you learned throughout that process that you've been able to share with your current players and get them to buy into your system, which has made you so successful up to this point?
Well, you know, it's the journey of life, without a doubt. The people you meet, you know, you try to grow as a person every day, and as a coach. You used to be as a player and a coach, but you know, you try to take good things you see and not so good things you try to discard. And they're trusting me with their son, and kind of they've had 16, 18 years to mold them, and kind of like my job to finish that off with my assistants. And you know, we just try to tell them, you can tell them, you know, until you're blue in the face, but until they trust you, and they're still going to make mistakes because that's what life's all about. But if you can minimize them through experiences, then good things are going to happen.
Great.
Good things are going to happen.
Well, you guys are having a great run now. Can you tell us a little bit about your expectations for the upcoming basketball year? And
I'm
also a
still
little bit about
trying
some of the
to
recruits.
enjoy this past year because I got the job. It'll be 3 years in August. We got the job, and I hired Terrell Stokes, who's Maryland Terp grad, great point guard, and from Philadelphia. I hired him. It was the first thing I did, and the program wasn't in good shape. We're on probation. First year, we wound up with 5 players at the end of the year. We actually played a game where a young man got hurt, and it was 4 against 5 for about 10 minutes. So we won 1 game, and it doesn't get much worse than that. And then we got some, obviously, the more time we had some more players in. We had some injuries the second year, and we still managed to win 10 of our last 14, and we went 11 and 15. Very disappointing because thought we could have, finished above 500, and after one win the following year, that would have been phenomenal. But this year going in, I knew we were going to be good. We got into the East Coast Conference, automatic bid. We started out 12-13 and all. We had a big man, I'm not going to mention his name, 6'11" kid who was our starting center. Unfortunately, he didn't take care of his business during finals and was ineligible. But we still managed to recoup. We were ranked as high as 18th in the country.
Wow.
We got an NCAA bid. Unfortunately, we did not play well. We lost to Stonehill by 4 points, and they wound up going to the Final Four. So even though it was rewarding, it's still kind of nagging at me. I thought we should have been in a Final Four team at the least. But that's something to shoot for. We lost 4 seniors, 3 guards, a lot of points. We had a young man on campus last night, and we're close to finishing up. We're going to have at least 5 new players in, and as good as we were last year, I think now we have to put it all together. We have to stay healthy. We have a chance to be even better next year.
Super, wonderful. We're going to take a pause for the calls, and we're going to be back shortly with Coach Jeff Ruland as we return to the Rolling Ground Sports and Entertainment Show very shortly. Thank you.